this whole issue obviously is highly personal, and I'm gonna put you under the spotlight here a little bit more, or under the microscope, I should say, and really just crank up the personal nature here. So if I'm overstepping any bounds or assuming too much, by all means, let me know. But you're a person of faith. Was that faith ever a source of comfort through all of this, or was it always like a source of pain?
It's a struggle, and I think everybody who is faithful, is a Christian, goes through moments of doubt, regardless of whether or not they're a homosexual. The thing is, it's just a little bit more strong whenever you're having to take what people view to be the basic cornerstones of a belief and break those down and be able to understand how you fit in within them. And there was definitely all through high school and college, especially going to a university where it's written. I went to a school where it's written in the bylaws of the university that homosexuals are not allowed on campus, or people aren't allowed to be homosexual or something, or practice homosexuality.
Yeah, there's a line about homosexual behavior.
There's a lot about homosexual behavior, and to have that like right here, you kind of have to readjust your entire way of thinking, because on the other shoulder you have this saying that this is how you feel, and you have to reevaluate all of your feelings of right and wrong, because you just have this inbred belief that there's something wrong with you. And so I definitely went through some periods of not going to church at all, of questioning, and there was one point where I felt so guilty right after I started exploring my feelings that I ran back to a very conservative church just so I wouldn't have to deal with it again. And then I realized that wasn't the way, and I kind of drifted again. But then I found an open and accepting community here in Hollywood, the United Methodist Church, which I will be marching with in the Los Angeles Gay Pride Parade in 2 weeks. And they, or is it 3 weeks? In a number of weeks, I'll be marching with them. and and they are so non-judgmental, and they're so about what I think Christ was about, that you really get a new, fresh perspective of what faith is. And I really hope that a lot of the churches that are so focused on the negative and the black and the white can really take a page from a place like the one that I go to, because I really think that is what the Christian purpose is supposed to be about. They simply believe in loving one another and helping other people, and there's something really beautiful in that. And once you are able to find that and to see how you fit within that community, then I think faith is possible again. But it was definitely a road. It was definitely a very bumpy road to get to a point where you felt at home in a faith community again.
Excellent. And that opens the door for a great segue to my next question. And I think this one, I don't know if this will be tougher for you, but this is probably the tougher one for me to ask, because for me, as a straight man, it's really easy, with a background in theology, for me and all my straight buddies to sit around, and smoke cigars and talk theology and talk about, what is or isn't the Christian response to human sexuality and stuff like that. So I mean, it's a lot harder than to bring someone who's obviously having to deal with that every day, for better or worse. As a Christian, and with the perspective you have, as a gay man, do you think there's a way for Christians to hold convictions, that may or may not, at least in some ways, be seen as more traditional, or to hold in some way the homosexual lifestyle, for quote unquote, is for them to not be okay with every single aspect of that, and do that and still come from a place of love and not outright bigotry, or is that immediately a bigoted position? And if there is a way to do it and not come from a place of bigotry, what does that look like?
I think that I think it's definitely a start to be able to say, like, love the sinner, not the sin, is basically what they say is their argument, which I don't really, I don't personally prescribe to that, obviously.
Right.
But
Been grossly misapplied.
yes, I will say that, it's an evolution to change an attitude of the people, and it's not something that happens overnight, and it's not something that even making gay marriage legal across the entire country can change the course of. Basically, if people can be willing to give that much, then eventually I think that full acceptance within the community will come. And I encourage an approach of love and tolerance, even if you don't understand. I think once the door has been opened or even cracked open, then it's easy to see that people are just people. And once people accept the fact that people are people, then I think that people's theology will be able to see the interpretations that I see, if that makes sense.
Sure. No. I mean,
So I will
it's a difficult thing to put into words. It's you got to kind of live, I guess. All right.
Yeah.
No, go ahead. What were you saying?
I mean, I personally, like my own personal beliefs is that, the Bible is a book that to be interpreted and reinterpreted, and it's been passed down through so many generations and interpreted so many different times that you can't take everything at a base level, and you have to look deeper into the meanings of every single word that's used. That's something I learned in college just through Bible interpretation. And I think that there are a lot of people that aren't willing to put in that study, or if they do, they only put in the study that will help to back up whatever their opinion is. And they're not willing to accept the fact that maybe there's more than one way to look at something. So.
Gotcha. All right. Well, one more tough question, and then we'll have a fun one or two, and then we'll let you go and let you've got somewhere to be. So if I may, I had a couple other questions. I think you've kind of already answered those, so there's no need to ask those again. But if I may borrow the language that you used, I assume you wrote the headline. I don't know if HuffPost picks those or if you got to. But what do you think made you feel so, to quote you, broken? The years of having to stay in the closet, or the fallout after you were outed?
The fallout was both very reaffirming and very devastating at the same time, if that makes any sense. Because it was reaffirming in the sense that I discovered all of these people that I didn't even realize I had before then. And so I got so much love from so many places that I wasn't even expecting, that it was very reaffirming and very and made me know that I was on the right path. But at the same time, a couple of the cornerstones of my life were no longer 100% supportive of my life. And I have been, for the majority of my life, kind of the chosen child, the one who could do no wrong, the one who got straight A's and perfect attendance and did everything right. And so to go from being the perfect one to the one who was a disappointment kind of took away that base that I had known, and took away that automatic reassurance that I had that I was this great kid. And I didn't feel as if I had someone who I could call to bail me out if I needed bailing out of some situation, like if I suddenly wasn't able to pay rent or if something like that happened. I knew that I was really, really on my own for the first time in my life. And I don't want to say anything that's like insensitive to anybody involved, so I don't want to go too much deeper into that. But
Sure.
suffice to say, I felt as if I didn't have the support that I had before, and it just made me feel when I was going to bed at night, I would have this very empty feeling as a result. And so, you go to the role model to know that things are going to be okay, and then life works a way for you actually to meet this person and for them to be everything that you wanted them to be. And it brought this real inner peace that I don't know. Since that happened, it's just amazing. I I felt some relief in being able to let that weight off my shoulders when I finally did come out, but the real relief came in that moment. And for whatever reason, since then, I haven't been afraid. It was like life was working something for me.
Regardless of where people come down on the issue, I think one thing we can all, if we're honest, acknowledge is that most of us will never have to know what it's like to go through what you go through. And I think, for that, if nothing else, we should all respect the hell out of you.